Hello everyone. In the last class, we had discussions on gear drives, introduction of the gear drives, gear terminology, types of gears, and also we just discussed about advantages and disadvantages of gear drives. And in this class, we shall discuss about a few more concepts under that gear drives, and let us complete that concept gear drives. So only few concepts are remaining. We shall begin with one by one. And now let us move to the next concept under the gear drive. It is velocity ratio of gear drive. You all studied this concept in that belt drive itself, that is velocity ratio of belt drives. Similarly, we have this velocity ratio of gear drives. Let us see what is the definition of this velocity ratio of gear drive. It is similar to that of that velocity ratio definition of belt drive. So it is defined as the ratio between the speed of the driven gear to the speed of the driving gear. The same definition we all had studied in that belt drive. So we will write once again. It is the ratio between speed of the driven gear to the speed of the driving gear, that is N2 by N1. Or you can define this velocity ratio in the one more manner. You can see that second, you can write this definition, or else you can write this one too. That is ratio of diameter of driving gear to the diameter of driven gear. So this is telling the definition of velocity ratio by making use of this diameter. So ratio of diameter of driving gear to the diameter of driven gear. In this case, D1 will come in the numerator and D2 will come in the denominator. Please be careful. Here in this case, when you are telling about the speed, it is ratio of speed of driven gear to the speed of driving gear. Whereas here diameter it is a diameter of driving gear to the diameter of driven gear. Or else even you can tell this definition of velocity ratio in the one more way, that is ratio of number of teeth on driving gear to the number of teeth on driven gear. So I have given that thing here, number of teeth on driving gear T1 will take, and number of teeth on driven gear will take T2. So we can tell any definition for this velocity ratio of gear drive. It is very simple to remember. Next, so we will take up this diagram. You can see there I have taken two gears here. One is driving gear rotating in the clockwise direction, another one is driven gear. Absolutely will rotate in the opposite direction, that is anti-clockwise direction. Next, you can see here we have that few terms here for the driving gear. So D1, N1, T1. D1 is the diameter of driving gear, and N1 is the speed of the driving gear, and T1 is number of teeth on driving gear. Similarly, we have D2, N2, T2. D2 is diameter of driven gear, N2 is speed of the driven gear, and T2 is number of teeth on the driven gear. So the same thing I have considered here. You can see that let D1, D2 be the diameter of driving and driven gear. T1, T2 be the number of teeth on driving and driven gear, and N1, N2 be the speed of the driving and driven gear respectively. So these are the things we will take up to derive the write an expression for this velocity ratio of gear drive. Next, we will assume that there is no slip between the mating teeth. The linear speed of the driving gear must be same as that of the driven gear. So we will assume that there is no slip in case of gear drive, and also we will assume that the linear speed of the driving gear is equal to linear speed of the driven gear. In case of the belt drive, we had an assumption like the length of belt passes over the driving gear in 1 minute is equal to length of the belt that passes over the driven belt in 1 minute. That was that assumption. But here we will assume that as linear speed of the driving gear is same as that of linear speed of the driven gear. We will write the expression as pi d1 n1 is equal to pi d2 n2. So this will become pi will get cancelled. N2 by n1 is equal to d1 by d2. So this is the almost we got the definition of velocity ratio. It's a ratio of speed of driven gear to the speed of driving gear, or you can define this as it's a ratio of diameter of driving gear to the diameter of the driven gear. So we'll call this as equation number 1. Next, let us take about the pitch, the terminology what we have discussed in the last class. The circular pitch for both the meshing gears remains same. Yes, the pitch of this driving gear as well as this driven gear must be same. Otherwise, these two gears will not mesh properly. So to make them to mesh with each other properly and for effective power transmission, pitch of this gear must be same as that of pitch of this driven gear. Then only they will mesh properly and power transmission will be taking place. Circular pitch for both the meshing gears remains same. Hence, pitch of the driver is equal to pitch of the driven. That means pitch of the driving gear is equal to pitch of the driven gear. We will take up that thing as that is PC, pitch formula. Circular pitch is equal to pi d1 by t1 is equal to pi d2 by t2. Pi d by t is the formula for circular pitch, you all know that, and this is the pitch of the driver and this is the pitch of the driven. So here again pi will get cancelled, will be left with d1 by t1 is equal to d2 by t2, and again will be arrange this thing in one more way, that is this can be given as d1 and this d2 will come to denominator of this and t1 will go to numerator here. So d1 by d2 is equal to t1 by t2, and by making these two expressions, that is equation number 1 and equation number 2, we will write the expression for velocity ratio in one more way, that is by making use of this number of teeth on driving and driven gear. So d1 by d2 is equal to t1 by t2. As already we have from the equation number 1, n2 by n1 is equal to d1 by d2, and this d1 by d2 is equal to t1 by t2. I will write that thing once again. So this is the expression for velocity ratio of gear drive. So you can call it, you can see here, this equation is called as velocity ratio. You can call it as velocity ratio, or you can call this as speed ratio, or even you can call it as transmission ratio. But these all terms are same, and a definition you can write any one definition out of these three, or if you are good enough to remember all, you can write it, or if you simply remember this expression, then definitely you can write a definition of, you can write all three definitions for this velocity ratio of gear drive. Yes, this is the simple thing. Next, let us move to next almost last concept of this gear drives, that is gear trains. You can see what is that gear trains. Gear train is an arrangement where two or more gears are used to transmit the power between the shafts. Here, two or more gears will be used to transmit that power between the shaft, and depending on the arrangement of gear trains are classified as simple gear trains, compound gear trains, reverted gear train, and epicyclic gear train. So these are the four different types of gear train. Anyhow, we have only simple gear train and compound gear train. We didn't bother about this reverted gear train and epicyclic gear train for your syllabus. We have only two, simple gear train and compound gear train. So remember, this gear train is an arrangement where two or more number of gears will be used to transmit the power between the shaft, and here depending on the arrangement of the gears, those gear trains will be classified as these many types. Means how that gears will be arranged to transmit. Anyhow, we are using more than two number of gears here, and based on that arrangement, so we will classify that gear trains into four different types. So it is simple gear train, compound gear train, reverted gear train, and epicyclic gear train. So let us see what is the simple gear train and what is the compound gear train. As I said, we don't bother about that reverted gear train and epicyclic gear train, since it is not mentioned in your syllabus. So we'll go one by one. This is a simple gear train, that is the first one. It consists of two or more number of gears mounted over the shafts such that each shaft carries only one gear. Yes, here you can see the definition of that simple gear train. It consists of two or more number of gears, more than two, mounted over the shafts such that each shaft will carry only one gear. For example, if you have 5 gears there, then each gear will be mounted on different shaft. That means there should be 5 different shafts. So that is how that simple gear train will be. It consists of two or more number of gears mounted over the shaft such that each shaft carries only one gear. We cannot mount the 2 gears on a single shaft. Don't do that. That cannot be called as simple gear train. We have another name for that. So here, in case of this simple gear train, it consists of more number of gears mounted over the shaft such that each shaft will carry only one gear, and that is called as simple gear train. I have simple like diagram here, you can see there. I have 4 different gears considered here: gear number 1, gear number 2, gear 3 and gear number 4. So for this you can see there, I have taken this N1 as the number of teeth, D is the diameter, N is the speed of that gear, D is the diameter and T is the number of teeth on a gear. So N, remember that it is speed of that gear. So this is first gear and is the second one and is third one and is the fourth gear I have considered. So for it you can see there, the first gear rotating in a clockwise direction, and N1 is the speed, D1 is the diameter, T1 is number of teeth. And you can see here, you all know that this gear number 1 is a driving gear and this is the driven gear, isn't it? So this drives the second one. So definitely the second gear will rotate in the opposite direction to this driving gear. You can see that this is rotating in a clockwise direction and this rotating in the anti-clockwise direction, because here gear 1 is a driving gear and gear 2 is a driven gear. N2 is the speed, D2 is the diameter, T2 is the number of teeth of this second gear. And when you consider this second and third gear, second gear will become driving gear and third gear will become driven gear. So this is rotating in the anti-clockwise direction. This will drive this third gear and will make this gear to rotate in this opposite direction to this driving gear. So thereby it is rotating in the counterclockwise direction and this make this one to rotate in the clockwise direction. So now if you consider these two, this will be the driving gear and this will be the driven gear. You can see there N3 is a speed, D3 is the diameter, T3 is the number of teeth on this third gear. Similarly, if you consider these two, that is third and fourth gear, this will be the driving gear and this will be the driven gear. Here in this case, this is rotating in the clockwise direction and will mesh up with this fourth gear and will make this gear to rotate in the opposite direction. You can see that arrow I have shown here, that is, it will rotate in the counterclockwise direction. So this is how the gear arrangement will be. If in the simple gear trains, it consists of more number of gears mounted on the shaft, such that each shaft will carry only one gear. So this gear will be mounted on one shaft and this gear will be mounted on the separate shaft again, and this will be mounted on the different shaft, and again similarly this will be mounted on a separate shaft. So this is the arrangement of simple gear train. You can see here I have again simple explanation for this. Gear 1 is the driving gear and gear 4 is the driven gear. Definitely you can see that this is the driving gear which receives that power from the mains, and this will be that driven gear, final or place at which that output will be used, or power will be utilized. This is the driven gear. And gear 2 and gear 3 are intermediate gears, or you can call it as idler gears. This gear number 2 and this gear number 3 are called as intermediate gears, or even you can call it as idler gear. So this is regarding basic arrangement of simple gear trains. I think you all understood this. More number of gears will be used, and all these gears are mounted in such a way that each shaft carries one gear only. Next, the first gear will be the driving gear and the last gear will be the driven gear, and the gears in between used are called as intermediate gears, or you can call it as idler gears. Next, let us go for effective velocity ratio of this gear train. We will take that, let N1, N2, N3 and N4 are the speeds, T1, T2, T3 and T4 are the number of teeth, and D1, D2, D3 and D4 be the pitch circle diameter of gear 1, 2, 3, 4 respectively. So I think you all know that what is N, D, T. N is the speed, T is the number of teeth, and D is the diameter, pitch circle diameter. Simply you can call it as diameter of that gear respectively. Next, we will take up only combination of these. First, let us assume that gear 1 is rotating in the clockwise direction. Yes, I will assume that this gear is rotating, that is gear number 1, driving gear, is rotating in the clockwise direction. Based on this assumption, I will give the rotation for the remaining gears. When this rotates in clockwise, will make this one rotate in anti-clockwise, and when it rotates in anti-clockwise, this will become clockwise direction. Similarly, the next gear will be anti-clockwise direction. So for assumption is done. Next, I will take the combination of these two only. Gear 1 drives this gear 2. This gear 1 drives the gear 2 now. So we will write the velocity ratio as, you all know that it's the ratio of speed of the driven gear N2 to the speed of the driving gear, that is N1, or you can give that as number of teeth on number of teeth on driving gear, that is T1, to the number of teeth on driven gear, T2, or you can define this as diameter of this driving gear to the diameter of the driven gear, that is D2. So it is a simple expression to write, and even it is very simple to remember. Velocity ratio for these two combination will be given like this. Call this as equation number 1. Next, let us move to the second combination where the this is done already. Next, gear 2 drives the gear 3. That means in this, again you can see that we will take the combination of these two, that is gear 2 and 3. Here gear 2 will drive the gear 3. This is the driving gear now, and this will be the driven gear. So velocity ratio will be N3 by N2, that is speed of the driven gear to the speed of the driving gear. Is equal to, you can write this as number of teeth on driving gear to the number of teeth on driven gear, T2 by T3 it is, and here it is D2 by D3. You can call this as equation number 2. Next, gear 3 drives gear 4. We will move to the last combination, gear number 3 and 4. Velocity ratio is equal to, again, speed of the driven gear to the speed of the driving gear. Okay, I will show you with the diagram itself. If you go for these two combination, this gear will drive this gear. So this will become driving gear and this will become driven gear. So fourth one is driven gear and third one is driving gear. So for that, it's a ratio of speed of driven gear to the driving gear, or you can say it as number of teeth on driving gear to the number of teeth on driven gear, diameter of the driving gear to the diameter of driven gear. Call this as equation number 3. Next, we will write effective velocity ratio of gear train will be given as, we will just multiply all these things. You can see effective velocity ratio, or simply VR velocity ratio, will be given as N2 by N1 into N3 by N2 into N4 by N3 is equal to T1 by T2 into T2 by T3 into T3 by T4 is equal to D1 by D2 into D2 by D3 into D3 by D4. Here this T2 and this T3 will get cancelled. We will be left with T1 by T4. Similarly here N2, N3 will get cancelled. We will be left with N4 by N1. Similarly here this D2 and D3 will get cancelled, left with D1 by D4. In this term it is left with only N4 by N1. I will write that as N with this fourth one is the last gear, so I will write the suffix last, and in the denominator it is N1, I will write N and the suffix first. Similarly in this case we will be left with T1 by T4, so T first divided by T last, and in case of diameter D1 by D4, D first divided by D last. So we will make a simple assumption, a simple note here. From the above relation, it is clear, that means with this relation, that is velocity ratio, it is clear that the idler gears do not affect velocity ratio. Yes, if you want to calculate the velocity ratio for this simple gear train, directly make use of this formula, that is that N last divided by N first. The middle gears or intermediate gears or idler gears will not be considered. That is what they are telling here. In the above relation, it is clear that idler gears do not affect the velocity ratio. They only serves to fill the gap and also achieving the required direction of rotation for the driven gear. I think you all understood this. These intermediate gears, you can use n number of intermediate gears, or I can call it as idler gears. Those idler gears will not affect the velocity ratio. It doesn't affect the velocity ratio at all. They will simply used to fill the gap between the driving gear and the driven gear, and also to achieve that required direction of rotation for the driven gear. I will tell you what is that required direction of rotation of the driven gear. I think you all understood regarding this. Now I will give a simple clarification regarding the direction of rotation of driven gear. Again, I will go back to the previous slide where I will take this gear train, simple gear train diagram. If you make use of even number of intermediate gears or idler gears, that is even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, like that. If you make use of even number of idler gears or intermediate gears, then driven gear will rotate in the opposite direction to that of driving gear. So here I have made use of two intermediate gears. So driving gear is rotating in the clockwise direction, so driven gear will be in the counterclockwise direction. So I can conclude that if you make use of even number of intermediate gears or idler gears, then driven gear will rotate in opposite direction to that of driving gear. If you make use of odd number of intermediate gears or idler gears, that is 1, 3, 5, 7, that is odd number of intermediate gears, then driven gear will rotate in the same direction as that of driving gear. So that is the difference. You can make it out. You can have a simple diagram. If you just consider only these three gears, you just leave this fourth one. 1, 2, 3. I will take this as a driving gear and this as a driven gear. And here in between I have make use of only one intermediate gear or one idler gear. So if it is this case, you can see there that driving gear is rotating in the clockwise direction. Similarly, that driven gear will also rotate in the counterclockwise direction. That's why I told that if you make use of even number of idler gears or intermediate gears, then driven gear will rotate in the opposite direction to that of driving gear. If you make use of odd number of idler gears, then driving and a driven gear will rotate in the same direction. That is one thing you can make a note of it. Or else simply if you want if you want driving and driven gears to rotate in the opposite direction, if you want them to rotate in opposite direction, then use even number of intermediate gears. If you want to make driving and driven gear to rotate in the same direction, then make use of odd number of idler gears or odd number of intermediate gears. That is regarding that, a simple note regarding simple gear train. Next, let us move to this compound gear train. In a compound gear train, is a gear train in which each intermediate shaft carries 2 or more gears. Yes, in this case, that intermediate shaft will carry 2 or more gears. If shaft carries only one gear, then that will be called as simple gear trains. If that intermediate shaft carries more than 2 gears, that will be called as compound gear trains. I have a simple example or diagram here. You can see that this is a driving gear. So this gear will be mounted on one shaft, and this will be the driven gear. Again, this will be mounted on separate shaft. You can see that this is the intermediate shaft. On this intermediate shaft, I have 2 gears, one second gear and this third gear. That's why they are telling that a compound gear train is a one in which each intermediate shaft carries 2 or more gears. Yes, this is the intermediate shaft which is carrying 2 gears here. It can carry more than 2 number of gears. That is regarding compound gear train. Yes, again write once again N1, D1, T1 for this first gear, that is driving gear. I have taken this thing as second gear, so N2 D2 by T2, and this is a third gear, N3 D3 by N3 D3 and T3, and this is a fourth gear, N4 D4 and T4. And here you can see here, since these 2 gears are mounted, that is gear number 2 and gear number 3 mounted on same shaft, these 2 will rotate in the same direction and with the same speed. So you need to remember that in case of compound gear trains, that intermediate shaft which carries more than 2 number of gears, and all the gears will rotate in the same direction with the same speed. So gear 1 is a driving gear, while gear 4 is a driven gear. Gear 2 and 3 are idler gears which are keyed to the same shaft. Yes, gear 1 is a driving gear, gear 4 is a driven gear, and these 2 gears, that is gear number 2 and gear number 3 are idler gears which will be keyed or which will be firmly fixed to the same shaft. This is the shaft to which this gear number 2 and gear number 3 are fixed. Thus, they rotate in the same speed as well as in the same direction. Thus, these two gears will rotate in the same speed and in the same direction. Next, let N1, N2, N3 be the speeds, T1, T2, T3, T4 be the number of teeth, and D1, D2, D3, D4 be the pitch circle diameter of gear number 1, 2, 3 and 4 respectively. And one thing you need to identify clearly, gear 1 is engaging with this second gear. It is not engaging with this third gear here. So please be careful. And here this third gear is engaging with the fourth gear here. You can see that this is a point of contact between third and fourth gear. And this is a point of contact between the first gear and second gear. So first gear will engage with the second gear and third gear will engage with the fourth gear. But here the second gear will not engage us with this fourth gear, as well as this third gear doesn't engage with this first gear. So please be careful. So next we will come to this. We have gear 1 drives the gear 2. That is common. That is those two are engaging here, as I said earlier. Gear 1, this is a gear 1 which drives this gear 2. This gear 1 is engaging with gear 2. So for that I will write the velocity ratio as N2 by N1 is equal to D1 by D2 or T1 by T2. We will call this as equation number 1. Since gear 2 and gear 3 are mounted on the same shaft, hence when the gear 2 and 3 rotate in the same direction and at the same speed, gear 3 drives gear 4. That's what I said here. gear 3 will engage with the gear 4. So, and gear 2 and gear 3 will rotate in the same direction of the same speed, and here gear 3 is engaging with the gear 4. That means gear 3 will become driving gear and this gear 4 will become driven gear. So velocity ratio will be given as speed of that driven gear N4 to the speed of the driving gear N3, or diameter of the driving gear to the diameter of driven gear, or teeth of the driving gear to the number of teeth of driven gear. We will call this as equation number 2. Next, effective velocity ratio of the gear train is given by, we will multiply these two, that is N2 by N1 into N4 by N3 is equal to D1 by D2 into D3, that is this product of these two, N2 by N1 into N4 by N3, D1 by D2 into D3 by D4, T1 by T2 into T3 by T4. We will write that thing. But here you all know that speed, as we already discussed, both the intermediate gears N2, that is 2 and 3 will rotate at the same speed. Already we have made this conclusion there. We have made clear this thing. N2 speed of that gear number 2 and gear number 3 are same. N2 is equal to N3. So this actually N2 will get cancelled with N3. And whereas these we will write as N4 by N1, that is velocity ratio, it is speed of the driven gear to the speed of the driving gear is equal to, here D1 into D3 divided by D2 into D4 is equal to T1 into T3 divided by T2 into T4. In general, velocity ratio, it is ratio of speed of the last gear to the speed of that first is equal to, or you can say it as speed of the driven gear to the speed of the driving gear is equal to product of diameter of driving gears. Yes, D1 and D3 are driving gears. I will show you once again if you want. This is a diameter of driving gear, that is the first one, D1, and here D3, that is third gear, is the driving gear. So this is D3. So D1 and D3 are diameter of driving gears. Fine. So that is what they have given here. The product of diameter of driving gears to the product of diameter of driven gears. D2 and D4 are driven gears, definitely. This D2 will be driven by this one, and D4 will be driven by this third gear. So that is D2 and D4 in the denominator, that is product of diameter of driven gears, or product of teeth on driving gears divided by product of teeth on driven gear. So this is regarding that velocity effective velocity ratio for compound gear trains. I think you can easily understand this thing too. Next, let us move to that comparison between this belt drives and gear drives, and we'll end up with this thing. So we'll see what is the comparison between the belt drive and gear drive. Belt drive, they are non-positive drives, as there is reduction in power transmission due to slip. As we said, discussed this thing in the belt drives. Slip is what you all know, that when the frictional grip between the belt and the pulley surface become insufficient, the belt will move forward without causing the rotation of the pulley. And when the pulley doesn't rotate, definitely you all know that there is no power transmission, and that is called a slip of the belt. And just because of that slip of the belt, we will call that belt drives as non-positive drives. Whereas gear drives, there is no slip at all, so that's why we will call they are positive drives. Gear drives are positive drives. Next, belt drives are preferred when center distance between two shafts is greater, or when the center distance between two shafts is large. Whereas gear drives are preferred when the center distance between the two shafts is small. Actually, here it is incomplete. When preferred when the distance between the two shafts is very small. So next, used to transmit the power between two parallel shafts. And here, whereas gear drives is used to transmit the power between parallel shaft, non-parallel shaft, intersecting and non-intersecting shafts. Whereas that other difference is exact velocity ratio cannot be maintained due to slip. So because of that slip in the belt drives, exact velocity ratio cannot be maintained. Whereas in case of gear drive, constant velocity ratio can be maintained due to absence of slip. So here there is no slip, so here a constant velocity ratio can be maintained throughout the power transmission. Next, whereas in case of belt drives, lubrication is not required, but for gear drives, lubrication is required. And belt drives, low power transmission efficiency, that is power transmission efficiency is less in case of belt drive, whereas high power transmission efficiency, there is no slip and all in case of gear drives, so definitely power transmission will be efficient, whereas it gives slip, creep and all those things can appear in case of belt drives, so power transmission efficiency is less. Next, Moderate power can be transmitted. Only moderate power or medium power can be transmitted in case of belt drives, whereas in case of gear drives, low, medium and high power transmission can be done with the help of this gear drive. So remember this, these are the difference between these belt drives and gear drives. It's a non-positive drive, it's a positive drive. Preferred when the center distance between the shaft is more. Preferred when the center distance between the two shafts is less. Used to transmit power between two parallel shafts. Used to transmit power between parallel, non-parallel, intersecting and non-intersecting shafts. Exact velocity ratio cannot be maintained due to slip. Constant velocity ratio or exact velocity ratio can be maintained because there is no slip in this case. Lubrication is not required for belt drive, but lubrication is required for gear drive. Low power transmission efficiency for belt drive and high power transmission efficiency for gear drives. Moderate power can be transmitted with a belt drive, and high power, low power as well as medium power can be transmitted with the help of gear drive. Yes, this thing is enough for today's class.